Hello, welcome to the third episode of the series. In this episode, we'll be looking at the client page, how it's been built. So, as usual, we'll be starting with the Webflow part. So, inside the client page, we have the sidebar, which is a component present on all pages, and we have a simple list, a simple element that will be used to render the client list. It's given with attribute of client list element, and inside it we have a text for name given with attribute of client element name, text for the address, the date, and a button that will be used to delete clients. At the top we have a search bar given with attribute of client search input, and we have a button that will be used to open the modal to add clients. It's also powered by FinSuite modal attributes. Inside the modal, we have a simple form that has 3 input fields: name, email, and address. All of them are given with attributes. The name is given the attributes client form name, email is given attributes client form email, and address is given attribute of client form address, and the custom submit button with SF submit. I have the success and the error states. I'm not sure if I talk about the success and the error states of the employee. I don't think so. So let's cover that quickly. So the error state for the employee form, we want to show it if the employee add employee as requested, and there is a error message. There's an error message. So I remember I talked about the double negation that's changed anything to truthy value, and if the add employee request is not requesting. So it's very similar to the one with in the login, the form in the login page. And also we want to set the error text to the error message returned from the request, and the success, we want to show it if the add employee request is okay. So it's very similar to the login form, the way we set up the login form, and that's how the error for the client form will also be like to have the same functionalities for the visibility, and all of them have the whisk cloak attributes. And talking about the whisk cloak attributes, I'm using a custom whisk cloak attribute in my head tag, hide, and one fade. One is we're setting display property of it to none, and one we are setting the opacity to 0. Okay, going back to our page, I think we've covered the add client form. So now let's check Xano. In Xano, the client, we will be using the client table. We're using the client table to handle all the operation about clients. We have 3 endpoints that are communicating with that table. We have one that is querying all client record. We are querying all client record, and we are making sure the client has not been deleted. We are returning an ID, name, email address as a variable called clients, as you can see here, and we are sorting by the date by which the client is created in descending order, so that the last added client will come first. So in the list that will be returned, we want to format the timestamp to be a readable format. So we are formatting, let me expand this. We are formatting the created at using this format option. You can, if you check the Xano documentation, you will see all the list there. So we're using M is for months, and J, months in full. J is for the number, days in number without zero, and year is for the for year in full. Yeah, so that's for this endpoint. And the endpoint to add clients, we are passing just 3 inputs: the name, the email address. The first thing, we are checking if the client exists. If it exists, we will throw an error that the client already exists. If the client does not exist, we go ahead and add the client straight in the database. And the last endpoint is to mark the client as deleted. So we'll be passing only the client ID to find which clients we want to mark as deleted. Yeah, okay, there's one more thing I have not talked about. In the employee page, there's a code. So let me go to the employee page before the body tag. There's a code, and what this code does is it re-initialize Webflow interaction, because in the employee page, this drop down is using Webflow interaction, and it is inside an element that has been used to render a list. So having used that element to render a list inside of Wized will destroy the Webflow interaction. So we're using that code to reinitialize the interaction so it can work again after Wized has been loaded. So inside the code, you can see we are passing the employee card and one other element. So now let's go back to the client page. So inside of Wized, the first thing is we want to get the list of our clients, and we are going to create a new request. I've created mine called get all clients. You select the app. In the method is a get method, of course, and it requires authentication. Copy the endpoint URL. You input the endpoint URL and pass in the auth token. Okay, so this also will be triggered on page load. So if you go to the clients folder under the events, we have an on page load event, which is triggered when page start loading, and we have a condition that specify that we are talking about this page, the client page, and also this page, or the app invoice page, which means we want to run this action too on that page. So when page start loading, get all clients, perform the request to get all clients, and set our loader variable. I've explained how the visibility of the loader is being handled in the previous episode. So we want to do that one when if the get all clients request is okay. So after getting all clients, as we did for the employee, we also want to save the client list in a variable if the client request is okay. So the variable is called client list, and we will be passing the list returned from the request. So let's do that using the data store. What's this? So we go to R for request, find get all clients. I think we need a search. Okay, there's a search. Wow. Oh, there's an error. Okay. Oh, I think maybe the function is not ready. Let me just look for it. Get all clients. Yeah, this is it. We are looking for an array. So this is the array, so we'll be returning the item. So yeah, we have it. Get all client.data.item. If you check here, you can see it's an array of items. So now that we have our list saved in a variable, let's render it and let's set the text So you go to the client's list element, select it. We'll want to render a list. We first create an index variable. I've given it a name of client list index. Select the list, which is the client list variable we just created. After that, let's set the name, the client's name, which is we are gonna set it from the variable list that we are rendering from. So it will be the list. Use your index variable, then dot notation to target the field. Also the same for the address, and the same for the date. Then now we want to perform the similar request to the one we did for the employee. We want to delete clients. So when we click on this element, as you can guess, the first thing we want to do is get the ID of the client. So we are doing that here. We'll be setting the variable to capture the ID of the element that is being clicked on. So I've created a variable called delete client's ID. So I'll be passing the ID of the client that is being clicked on using the index variable. So after that, we'll be running that alert using our alert JavaScript library, suite alert. So it's almost the same as the employee. We are only changing the request. So if it's confirmed, use the Wized API to execute the request. Wized.request.execute, then delete the client. And talking about the delete client request, let's set it up. Delete client. So I've given it the name of delete client, and the method is patch. Let's go to Xano and see that clients. So let's copy the endpoint URL. We'll be using template literals to pass the delete client ID. Paste it here. So let me even, I don't think I'll demonstrate. Let me demonstrate it. So to be, did I copy? Okay. No, I'm supposed to use this. Not double quote. Paste. Now we put $sign here. Then we make this dynamic by passing the variable that has the ID, delete client ID. So if not click on any clients, we should return something now. Yeah, 6. So we will be passing the auth token too because it requires authentication. And that's that about the delete client request. The last request here is to add clients. So it's a very straightforward one. We are passing three inputs: the name, email, and address. So we'll be passing that through the body because it's a post request. The name, we'll be supplying the name, the input, name input, email matched to this email, and address will be matched to this address. It also requires authentication. We'll be passing the auth token. The endpoint URL is /clients and it's a post method. So on submit the client form, let me select from the element tab. Where is it? Client form. Yeah, the client form, accept submit, perform the add client request. Then we want to get a new fresh of the client list. If the add client request is okay, then we want to clear our input field by setting the input field to empty. Then we want to click the close button. We want to click this close button. Then we want to set the request data to null, just as we did for the employee page. Yeah, so the last thing is the search. Is again very identical to the employee page. We have the search event, which is being triggered if the search input is a search input client search input attribute is present. If it's present, then we want to run this function, which is a custom code that is handling the event. It is manipulating our client list. It is our client list, so it will check whatever is in the input. Let me say Elon. So whatever is in the input, to use the client's name field to return the match. And that's all. Also, there's no pagination here. We are querying all the record of clients at once, because I just assume you are not going to have more than 100 clients. And if you have, congratulations. Yeah, so in the next episode we will be talking about the invoice page. So see you there.